We're here to rescue and help the animals out. We're not just dog killers that they label us to be. We're here to help them.
The Animal Welfare Division of Oklahoma City always sets high standards for their field officers. And we are here to ensure the health and welfare of the animals. That's our primary goal, and to educate the public.
Attempting to answer over 200 calls. That's an average day in the field. Attempting to please every citizen that calls in. Attempting to save every animal's life. That's the average day in the field.
We cover 620 square miles, this department. And we assist all fire and police personnel in calls that they have that involve animals. And our population has grown exponentially in the last 10 years. And we've still done it with the basic same amount of staff as we have over the last 10 years. But you still have people that think of us as principally like dog catchers, like we go out into the field and hunt poor unsuspecting little animals and snagging them up. And that's not at all what we do. And we always try to replace the animals with their owners. And if it's not possible, then we bring them to the shelter.
The various calls that we have, it can range from our daily strays. We always try to get to run some stray calls. Injured animals, be it wildlife, like a beaver or a hawk or a duck or a goose. I mean, you name it, we run it.
We received a call about 2 beavers being inside of a swimming pool in which they had chewed through a resident's back fence and gone into their swimming pool. The citizens had called our dispatch line and said that they had 2 beavers that had gotten caught or refused to leave the swimming pool area. So we decided to go ahead and respond. Instead of sending that call over to the wildlife department, we decided to respond to that call, in which we found 2 beavers inside the swimming pool. Myself, Officer Kinley, and Officer David Bernal decided to remove those 2 beavers that were a mating pair, and we'll just go ahead and call them Bonnie and Clyde, which was fitting since they were 2 renegades. And we're guessing that the female was probably going to be kidding, which is basically giving birth to 2 kits. And she was finding sanctity or shelter inside the swimming pool, which was nice. It was a nice saltwater pool. Myself, Glennis Kidney, and Officer David Bernal removed those 2 beavers out of that pool and have now sent them to Wall Care for rehab and released back into another area that would be more sufficient to sustain those 2, Bonnie and Clyde.
Teamwork's real important in animal welfare, and being receptive to different situations that people, because you run across poor, downtrodden, horrific scenes that you would normally have in a normal situation in life. And you just have to try to keep a level and calm perspective on things, and as compassionate and professional in the situation, because it's stressful for the animals, it's stressful for the citizens, it's sometimes woefully sad, and just got to try to keep the situation as calm and effective as possible. Another thing that's real difficult is when you come across just blatant animal abuse, like a dog that's been chained from it was a baby in 110-degree weather, and he's died on that chain trying to chew through it with no water, and there's a water hose 10 feet from him. Situations like that, it's just so unnecessary. And your thought process would never be that way, and it's hard to understand how someone could have a thought process like that or be just that uncaring or lazy to, take care of their animal.
I think the animals would be in a very bad place without us. Every day, unfortunately, we follow up on cruelty cases. We work over 3,000 cruelty cases every year, and these animals need us to be able to provide shelter to them here at the shelter, but also to get them out of bad situations in their homes. And so I think that without us, there'll be a lot of animals suffering here in Oklahoma City, and know that we take a lot of pride in trying to prevent that.
Officer Chronic, why were we here today?
We're here on a kennel bus action.
What were the charges?
The charges were 126 counts of inhumane care and treatment, unhealthy living conditions, and 2 for lack of care, medical.
What was the outcome?
The two for lack of medical care were dropped, and there was a plea bargain made for, I believe, $75 a piece for the other 124, plus $80 court cost for each one.
Do you think you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish today?
I think it's a small drop in the bucket, but it started.
One thing you will see on a day-to-day basis is a lot of people working very hard to save as many animals as they can, and a lot of work's going on, and the volume of animals that we deal with and the amount of staff that we have in order to get everything done on a given day is very, very challenging. And so there's a lot of people that work very hard here every day. I think the fact that we know we're making a difference in the community and in these animals' lives that we take in. 15 years ago when I first came to this shelter, about less than 20% of the animals that came in here went out alive, and here we are, 15 years later, and about 60% are going out alive. And being able to be a part of that and knowing that you're making a difference, and we have a very special staff here that's continued to not be content with that being at 60%, but to continue to work towards even higher live release rate than that. Last year we took in about 27,000 animals. A typical day, it's usually typically somewhere between 50 and 150, depending on the time of year it is. Euthanized for last year was about a little over 11,000, just under 12,000 animals were euthanized last year. Once again, it's seasonal, and so it varies from year. When I first started here back in 1999, we averaged over 100 animals, euthanizing them every day, and now it's typically somewhere between 10 and 30. In our busy times of year, it could be as many as 40 to 50, but that's even rare. And typically we stay between 10 and 30 animals a day. Like I said, right now about 6% of the animals that come in here go out alive, and our goal is to eventually get to 75%. I think it's important to know that that we're not the old school pound anymore, and that there's a lot of people here who are huge animal lovers that come to work every day with the intent on saving as many animals as they possibly can. And times have changed. We have a much nicer facility today than we had years ago, and that's even getting better as we have construction coming up here pretty soon to redo our dog kennels. And so if they haven't been to the shelter in a long time, we always recommend that they come and see what we're doing and see the difference in today versus 15 years ago whenever I got here, because it's a world of difference, and I think they'll be pleasantly surprised about what's going on.
Their leadership skills start with working with each other. They have to have one that will demand respect and command respect, along with one that also follow one another. So not only are they gathering information that they learn from each other, but they also learn from the public as well. It's one that it's a give and take. They can't instantly have to grab that from the public or also working with the animals, because you're taking somebody's pet, or you're having to work with the situation of somebody that is maybe tempered. It may be a sensitive situation depending on the environment that they're working in. So their leadership skill commands a type of leadership that allows them to fluctuate, because they're not always a leader in the situation. Sometimes they have to be followers as well. With a supervisor in this position, it would be no different than a commander-in-chief or a lieutenant or a captain. We have to take charge. We are the deciding factor of many approvals of court cases that go to court. We have to approve their reports. We review their work, So as far as leadership, we tread the ways for them to follow, but they are sole officers when they go out into the field. So hopefully, as far as leadership skills, we've set a good boundary for them to follow as far as their ethics and their morals to follow out there in the field.
This first calf is what it was, about a 400-pound calf, black calf, that was being delivered from Louisiana, that we later found out had jumped either the back part of the chute or maybe squeezed through the back part and had started running down Agnew, and that still contains city residents. Oklahoma City Police Department, trying to provide safety, ran the cow into a 10-foot drainage ditch, which is a ravine that storm drain comes through and then feeds off into another creek. Had ran that calf into that area in which she was contained overnight. We felt that it was secure enough that we could leave the cow and that calf in that area overnight for the safety for the calf as well as the residents. And then in the morning time we picked up, as you would say, the trail or the tracks of it. Officer Ray responded first and found the calf down in this ravine, and then myself and Officer Bernal then responded out to find the calf. The calf was tranquilized down in the ravine, which did not have the effects that we wanted it to in the beginning. He was then tranquilized again to slow him down and possibly decrease some of the stressing effects of trying to if you can imagine, get this 400-pound calf back up a sloping wall back up onto level ground that we could pull in a trailer, and then have him reevaluated by an emergency vet and then transferred back to the cattle stockyards, which was a long ordeal and stressful, not only on the calf as well as taxing on all the officers involved. So it's not an everyday ordeal, but it is definitely one that the officers go through.
Help us reduce the number of animals that we see every year by making sure your animals are spayed and neutered. And those that can do more, the gift of time is always needed. We always need volunteers and foster homes to help us take care of especially the young and sick ones that need to get out of the shelter for a period of time until they're able to be adopted. We are severely understaffed, and there's so many programs and things that we do that without them they wouldn't exist, and we have to have them in order to continue to save lives. Lastly, if those other options aren't available to them, then donations are always welcome. We take donations of all different types. Money is what we prefer, just because it allows us to be flexible with what we get and able to get the animals exactly what they need. But we also take donations, anything from old blankets and towels to dog beds, dog houses, and those types of things for the animals that we have in our care.
What do you want the people of Oklahoma City to know about how they can help with the efforts?
It's definitely, they're going to have to get involved. We can't fight this by ourselves. They're going to have to get involved. The problem did not start with us, and it's not going to end with us either. They are going to have to get involved. You know, we can only regulate it so far.